So we've got here a Raspberry Pi 5 starter kit that is sold on Amazon. A lot of times these starter kits, they bundle a bunch of stuff together to try to make it convenient for you, and then they upcharge quite a bit. As of the recording of this video, they did have this on sale as a limited time deal, and it seemed like a fair price, but you just have to take a look. They did send this to me for purpose of sharing it with you guys, but I want to do something special. I want to do a cool little project with this and run through step by step of turning this thing into a tiny Nintendo Wii with some of my favorite games on the system. So this kit comes with a Pi 5, 8 gigabyte. I'm pretty sure they probably sell different versions, variants, but 8 gigabyte is fine for the Nintendo Wii emulating with Retropie. Love Retropie. It's where my channel started, but here we go. I love this device. What else comes in here? Does come with two 4K 60 micro HDMI cables. So that does come in handy. I prefer using like adapters instead of like these types of HDMI cables where it has that one end with the little one. I prefer just having the adapter and then plug it in my own HDMI so I'm not fiddling around, right? Then this is like the accessory box. We'll jump in that in a second. And then right here is the 27 watt power supply. You have to use 27 watt power supply. So there's that. And then in the accessories here, we do get a case. We get the active cooler, the official like Raspberry Pi active cooler. And then we get, this comes with a 128 gigabyte micro SD card. Should come with like a desktop, OS, built into it, but we're not going to use that. SanDisk Ultra. But let's get this on there. Let's get this on there real quick. And then what kind of case? Is it an aluminum case? Yes, it is. So this will just like mount in there. A decent little case, but you definitely want to put the active cooler on there. So that's what we're going to do. So there's a spot right there and then a spot right there. You have to line it up. Push it in. Be gentle. There we go. So that's attached that way anyway. It's not actually attached. We have to plug this in. And then we're good to go with the active cooler. Definitely want that installed. And then this is just going to slide in here. You're going to take the, there's several screws. And you're going to screw from underneath each of the spots. Put the top piece on. And then to hold it in place, you're going to screw the top piece. That's essentially it. There is a piece right here for the power button. That's it. And then underneath you do have access to your micro SD card slot. And that's it. Ventilation on the top, ventilation on the bottom. We're good to go. Let's make this a little Nintendo Wii. Okay, so let's blast through this process of setting up this little Raspberry Pi 5 as essentially a Nintendo Wii Classic Edition, tailored just for you. I mean, I'm setting it up just for the games that I love for the Nintendo Wii, and it's a very simple, easy process. Didn't really take me very long at all to do. So we're going to be using Retropie. Now, there is no official Retropie image for the Pi 5 as of yet, so I found an unofficial beta image for it, and actually it was on the Retropie forums, so I'll put a link down below so you can download that if you're interested. I'm using the unofficial beta plus image, and I'm using a program called WinDisk Imager to write that to the micro SD card that came with this kit. The kit also came with the USB micro SD card reader. Plug that into your computer with the SD card. Double check on your PC what the drive letter is assigned to that micro SD card. With WinDisk Imager, select that micro SD card by the drive letter, select the image that you downloaded, and then click write. It'll take a few minutes to write it to the SD card. Once that is done, put it into the Raspberry Pi 5, plug in your controller that you want to use. I'm using an 8-bito Ultimate Bluetooth controller in 2.4 gigahertz wireless mode with the USB adapter it comes with, and I'm also using a Logitech keyboard that has a mouse built into it. I believe the K400 always comes in handy for this kind of stuff. And then we're going to need that at some point on this little setup here. So once we boot the system up, you're going to see that Retropie logo and everything. Emulation Station is going to run through, and it's going to say, hey, you need to configure your controller. So we're going to go ahead and run through that. Hold a button down on our controller, go through for each button, press everything. Now we're good. Now we're going to want to set up our Wi-Fi. So it's going to say, once you select, set up Wi-Fi or whatever, it's going to say, hey, you need to set your country, and it will just take you to the localization options if you don't do that first. If you try to set up Wi-Fi, now you're going to have to select your country. And if you use the controller D-pad to scroll down, I'm in the US, so you have to scroll way far down. You use a controller, it takes forever. If you use a keyboard and the down arrow, it scrolls really fast. So select your country and then put in your credentials for your Wi-Fi. Now you're good. Now, if you didn't take note of your IP address during that, you need to get your IP. Go back to the Raspberry Pi, the Retropie menu where it says Show IP. Select that. It'll show you your IP. Make note of that. I'm using a program called FileZilla on my PC. A lot of people use other programs, just what I'm comfortable with, so that's what we're doing. So I use FileZilla. I type in my IP address up at the top. The username is Pi, P-I. Password is Raspberry. And then 22, quick connect. Boom, we're connected to the Raspberry Pi wirelessly to transfer files. Now, I already have access to some Wii ROMs. You can find them any which way. I cannot link you, but the Internet Archive is your friend. You can find a lot of stuff there. Go ahead and take a look. So I just drag and drop them to the ROM folder for the Wii, Retropie, ROMs, the Wii folder. Boom, Wii, ROMs, there we go. Takes a moment. You can see on the screen the whole, line of events of getting to those folders, drop the ROMs, wait for them to transfer, and then you're essentially good to go. Now, once you're on Emulation Station, it's not going to show up your ROMs. You have to reboot Emulation Station for it to show up. Now, once you reboot, they show up. It's just going to be text. You're not going to see anything fancy. If you want box art and metadata, the descriptions and everything, press start, scrape box art. As you're connected to the internet now, you'll have access to that. Go through the process. It'll give you box arts and descriptions and whatnot. Just makes things look nicer. You can also download themes from the ES Themes option in the Retropie menu if you want. So once we got all that done, those are all optional things. We're not going to be able to play these games quite yet. You can boot into them, but your controller's not going to work. It's not going to auto-configure your controller. We have to access the Dolphin emulator through a desktop in order to configure the controls. And as we don't have a desktop installed on the Retropie build, we're going to have to do that. And it's actually very simple. So we're going to have to install Pixel Desktop. We're going to go to that Retropie menu and go to Retropie Setup, and then to Configuration Tools, Raspbian Tools, and then just select Install Pixel Desktop. It's going to take a few minutes. Once that's installed, reboot your system because it's not going to show up right away, but it'll show up in the ports, option, little menu option. It'll have the desktop in there, or you could just hit F4 on your keyboard, type Start X and hit Enter, and it'll take you to the desktop. Either way you want to go about it, but we have to go to the desktop. So let's get to the desktop, and now we need to configure controls in Dolphin emulator for the Wii. So on our Pixel Desktop, we're going to open the terminal up top with the mouse. Click that, open up terminal, and we're going to type out this line. I will put it in the description so you can see exactly what it is, the QT, QPA platform thing, and then hit enter. It's going to open up Dolphin, the graphic user interface, and then from there you're going to go to options and then configure controls, configure your controls for Wii, and if you want GameCube, and then for Wii, you may as well do it. Go to extra controls for classic controller for Wii and the extension controls options and go through the process for that. Just make sure when you're doing the controls, you're selecting, your actual controller that you're using. Otherwise, it's not going to work. It's not going to configure anything. You have to press the button to correspond to what you're setting up, right? So once we got all that done, you could reboot, go back to Emulation Station. Now, once you boot up a game, if you hit the A button, it'll bring up some options. And you can select video options for the emulator. to select resolution, aspect ratio, among other things. And you would want to do this if by default, whatever it sets up by default, if you're having some slowdown in certain games, I would recommend doing this before messing with any other Dolphin options or settings on the Pixel desktop. I would set the resolution down to 720p by doing that, hitting the A button, going through that when you boot up a game. And it just, you can play with a few different choices in that and see what works. 720p, it's really not going to degrade much of anything. It still looks good to me. So you could do that, test it out. All the games that I installed here, they all have seemed to play fine. I mean, a few of them are like 2D games here, but like things like Castlevania Rebirth, Contra Rebirth, Gradius Rebirth, these games are stuck on the Wii. So to be able to play them on a little tiny device like this, hell yeah, dude. Like, I wish these were re-released like on the compilations they came out for this stuff, and they weren't, but these are awesome games. So yeah, they play fine on this. The Final Fantasy IV After Years freaking plays just fine. Stuff like Tatsunoko vs. Capcom, for the most part, plays great. Muramasa, the Demon Sword or something like that, that game is freaking beautiful. The Vanillaware game, that game, no problem at all. Like, that game is freaking awesome. I was actually addicted playing it when I was trying to capture some footage. I played it way back in the day, but playing it here, awesome. Playing Mario Kart, there's a few little things with audio when you first boot the game up, but it smooths out and the game just plays fine for the most part. There's going to be a lot of stuff. Like, you got to test these games out. There may be options if something doesn't work quite right. I can't guarantee the entire Wii library is going to work on this. I highly doubt it will, but everything I've wanted to play has played fine, for the most part acceptable. So yeah, I thought this was pretty cool. Let me know what you guys think. I tried to run through this process as well as I could. If you have any questions or want any clarification, drop a comment down below and I will try to clarify, help you out if you want to do this yourself. But thank you. Let me know what you think. Bye.